So is this a recipe that you developed?
Yes. It is very simple.
Okay.
It is only chili and tamarind which is ground and then tossed in the ghee.
That chicken is cooked to the bone, and also the salt that parts quite readily from the bone, as if wanting to meet your mouth in a hurry.
And this dish is called Bhutai Nippat.
Okay.
Very simple: mustard, ramnar mirch, tamarind pulp, and little bit of hing.
Oh, there's a certain pungent ferocity to that masala. Oh, this is delicious. We are going to eat the kori roti with the prawns hinga udda.
Hinga udda is a simple blend of masala, chilies and tamarind.
Okay.
Which you would never agree.
I think the only ingredient that she will give away is the chilies and tamarind. That I can tell you. Hi folks, this is Kripal Amana, Gourmet on the Road, and you're watching Food Lovers TV. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're staying safe and strong. We are in Mangalore, Nammakudla, and one of the things that I always look forward to when in Mangaluru is to taste a good chicken ghee roast. I think the chicken ghee roast is one of those dishes that we in Mangaluru find truly comforting. It's a dish that satisfies the stomach and also pleases the heart. Now we've done the Shetty Lunch Home ghee roast, and that ghee roast I've known for many years. In fact, from the time that I first tasted them in Kundapur, maybe about 20 or 30 years ago. And in the recent past, on Gourmet on the Road, we featured the Shetty Lunch Home ghee roast here in Mangaluru. But of late, I've been hearing about a ghee roast that's rather popular with the locals, and that's the ghee roast that's served at Maharaja Multi-Cuisine Family Restaurant. So today we've set out to Maharaja to check out their version of the ghee roast and what makes it so popular. Well, the first floor. Namaskara.
Namaste, sir.
How are you doing?
All well, sir.
Your name is
Komal Prabhu.
Komal Prabhu. So you're the person behind the ghee roast here.
Curation of the food.
Fantastic. And that's your son?
Yes.
Sudhendra Prabhu. So this is a family enterprise.
Yes.
How old is Maharaja?
Maharaja is running in its 20th year.
20th year. So have you always been in the food business?
No. Basically, from the parental side, it is cashew processors.
Cashew processors, okay.
Yes. This was my husband's passion of cooking,
Okay.
which brought us into this field.
Okay.
And once we came into Mangalore, we never looked back.
And where were you before Mangalore?
Before Mangalore, my husband resided in Bantwal.
In Bantwal, okay.
Yes.
So is your husband also involved in
Basically, he is the quality maintaining person.
quality maintaining person?
Yes.
So what does that mean? Is he the one who tastes it and then tells you whether you're doing a good job or
It
not?
is the raw materials that is purchased.
Okay, okay. So that's where the quality begins, right?
Exactly,
So
sir.
if you have the right ingredients going in, then obviously you have a great dish. So tell me, I mean, I have explored the ghee roast. I'm a Mangalorean by birth. People have been telling me that I should try the Maharaja ghee roast too. Why is that?
We have tried to give a very natural way of blending the chicken with a very simple masala that it touches the taste buds of people.
Can we take a look at the making of this
Of course, sir.
ghee roast? Fantastic. So is this a recipe that you developed?
Yes.
So did it involve a lot of experimentation?
Not really, sir, because it is very simple.
Okay.
It is only chili and tamarind which is blend and which is ground and then tossed in the ghee.
Tossed in the ghee.
Yeah, first we boil the chicken here. We put the masala and boil the chicken at a very low flame
Okay.
for around 45 minutes to an hour. This is only a chili and tamarind paste.
Chili and tamarind paste.
Tamarind
Byadgi
paste.
mensankai, what chili do you use?
Kashmiri
Kashmiri chili. That's why you get that lovely red color.
colors. Its color and the thickness of the masala.
Okay. I'm rather curious to taste Mrs. Prabhu's masala. So ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಬರೀ ನೀವು ಹೇಳ್ತಿರೋದು
ಮೆಣಸು ಬ್ಯಾಡಗಿ ಮೆಣಸು ಕಾಶ್ಮೀರಿ ಬ್ಯಾಡಗಿ
ಕಾಶ್ಮೀರಿ ಮತ್ತು ಬ್ಯಾಡಗಿ ಮೆಣಸು ಮಿಕ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ
ಬೇರೆ ಸರ್ ಬ್ಯಾಡಗಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾಶ್ಮೀರಿ ಅಂತ ಬರ್ತದೆ
ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಫ್ಯಾಟ್ ಇದೆ, ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ತುಪ್ಪ ಇದೆ.
That is because the masala is being tossed.
So
That's
basically the masala is,
tossed and then brought and put into this.
I think every chef, especially for a recipe like the ghee roast, I think people here are passionate about the ghee roast. I think people take a lot of pride in the ghee roast that they make. So I think there are certain nuances and techniques that best remain with the creator of the dishes.
This is the chilies used.
So that's the big Kashmiri chili. This is also a chili that gives you maximum extraction in terms of the color. And idralli masale lalli sumar tuppa ide. I can definitely taste the tuppa in that masala. Matte idu takondu puna haktira adralli. Inu tuppa madi. So basically I think here at this stage that ghee roast is almost prepared. All that it needs is that final toss. Final toss with a little more of the tuppa. The more tuppa you add, the more the flavor that you add. And also of course more of the masala.
Same masala, we boil it and then toss it.
So that is a masala. Does it have ghee in it now?
Yes, of
It has ghee in it. You can see that masala reveal its vivacious color. And that's the color that comes from the Kashmiri chili. Okay, so that's the chicken that's been cooked earlier.
Yes.
And then you toss it.
It is how kindly you put the ghee is very, very important.
So of course the chicken is soaked in a generous quantity of ghee. That's important, right?
Very,
to roast the chicken
Exactly.
with that masala. As Mrs. Komal here says, it's only the chilies and the tamarind. But there's the one thing that we agree on is there's plenty of ghee that goes in to that chicken with the masala, and that's sauteed.
Exactly.
How long does he saute it?
We have given them an instruction of the ghee leaving the masala.
ಅದು ghee masale bidbeku, right? So that ghee should basically leave.
And basically when it is in the speed mode, they take the fire inside the masala. And that is when they give you the best ghee roast.
But I see that your ghee roast also has plenty of the masala.
Correct.
To mop up, what do you typically eat the ghee roast here with?
Neer dosa.
Yeah.
Rumali roti.
Okay.
Yes, and we have the kulcha also. Some like it with butter naan.
Yeah.
Yes. Because ghee roast we have plenty items there. We have the seafood also in the ghee roast.
Correct. So there's the prawns, there's
Yes,
the
crab.
but most popular is what? The chicken version.
Everything is popular, sir.
Yeah.
Because crab ghee roast is also consumed by the customers. Because crab is something which is loved to be eaten at home. Because every time you use two hands to eat.
Every time you use two hands to eat the crab. When you eat crab, involvement irbeku full.
Very.
You have to be completely involved, roll up your sleeves and then dive in.
Yes. Sir, I want to tell you about some other dish.
Okay.
Which is originated and curated by me.
Okay.
Which started from the home and came to the restaurant.
Oh, nice.
And became a very happening dish in Maharaja.
And what is this dish?
And this dish is called Bhutai Nippat. Bhutai is sardine.
Sardine.
First of all, sardine is known for its bad smell or odor or whatever you say.
It is quite a fish that is very assertive in its, doesn't hold back, not shy in its flavors.
Correct. But it is the only place where I've heard my customer telling we don't get the smell. Taru Bhutai, a favorite fish of Mangalore, Taru Bhutai.
Okay.
It's naked fry, it's rava fry. It's known for, the local people. So that is why we make it into a Taru Bhutai. However big the fish is,
chicken martira.
Chicken martira.
So that is the starting point for your Bhutai Nippat.
Nippat.
Fantastic. And that's a recipe of yours that came from your home and is now part of the restaurant.
Very simple.
Okay.
Very simple. Mustard, Ramnar mirch, chili powder, tamarind pulp, and little bit of hing.
That's the masala.
Light masala, sir, not?
So you ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ fry ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ ಈಗ?
Fry ಮಾಡ್ತೇವೆ.
So you want the fish to be slightly crispy?
Not about crispy. When you put it in the pan, it shreds.
Okay. So you want the fish to hold
To
itself?
hold itself.
Some ugarne of the mustard seeds.
Correct.
Ramnar chilies. Oh, some red chilies. Some water for the masala to come together. Some salt.
Hing.
Oh, hingu water. And a bit of the tamarind pulp. I like Mrs. Komal's spirit. She says, "Bada simple ide, one ingredient ide." But I love the way in which it comes together. She makes it simple, I think. That dish looks lovely. I've never seen bhutai being dressed up like this.
When the person comes new and when I say bhuta, he says, I have guests, please don't order bhuta. But when I make it a point that I give him free or I make him eat it, then he says, yes ma'am.
Ah,
Food is something which has to touch your soul.
that's right. It has to touch your soul. You have to feel a connection to it.
Exactly.
When you taste a dish, and I think a magical dish is one where when you taste that dish, you feel like, this is something that I've been missing my whole life. That's what a magical dish is all about. Well, from the heat of the kitchen, we emerge into the restaurant. So they have a couple of sections. So they've got the air-conditioned section inside, but out here you can enjoy the gentle Mangaluru breeze, of course, laced with a bit of humidity. But then that's what Mangalore is all about. I must say, sitting out here, it is rather pleasant. When I say pleasant, of course, I'm saying pleasant by Mangaluru standards. If you can sit in an open air sort of a space and enjoy your meal, well, that's nice. That's a bonus. Here in Namakudla. Half ghee roast. I like the fact that the ghee roast here has a lot of the gushy. Taru bhutai, neer dose. Well, we have the dishes that we want here. So this is the ghee roast. There's a lovely leg piece here. Malla undu, as they would say in Tulu. That's a generously proportioned leg, and of course some of the other pieces. What I really like here is the gashi that's a part of the ghee roast. And then, of course, I'm looking forward to tasting the ghee roast. But this is a dish that I'm quite curious to taste. You know, these are the sort of dishes that perhaps signify the word ugly delicious. They may not seem much to look at in this dim light, in this low light setting, but these are the sort of dishes that illuminate your palate. That's what these dishes do. Some neer dosai, some tellau to mop up some of that gravy. I think I'm going to make a beginning with that ghee roast. Bisi there. This ghee roast is hot. But taste that masala first. That lushness of the tuppa, that ghee is what takes hold of your palate. That ghee wants to make friends with your palate in a hurry. That's what that tuppa is all about. There's also a hint of the tartness that comes from the tamarind. I can also taste the gentle warmth of the Kashmiri chili that goes in to color this dish. When it comes to chilies, not all chilies have the same role and purpose. There are some chilies, for instance, like the Ramnath chili, which probably will be a little more spicy. But then there are chilies like the Byadgi Mensankai, the Kashmiri chili, that are more effusive in the color that they lend to the dish. And when you see a dish that's bright red, if it's a chef who has a lot of integrity, that red comes owing to the color of the chili. In this case, the Kashmiri chili. This is a masala that certainly has a depth of flavor. So I guess the ingredients that go into it are roasted. The masala is then ground. And then that chicken is cooked along with that masala, is boiled with the masala, as they say, also with some tuppa. When an order is called out, they once again braise that chicken, that already cooked chicken, with some more of that tuppa and some more of that masala to give it that hit. You know, even as I'm tasting that masala, I can now also taste the heat of that chili somewhere in there. Let's go for that chicken. That chicken is cooked to the bone, and also the salt that parts quite readily from the bone, as if wanting to meet your mouth in a hurry. You know, there's some parts of the chicken that are quite soft. There are some parts, especially the edges, that have been braised in that ghee, therefore they acquire a bit of a bite. And that's also nice because as you bite into that chicken releases some of the lushness of that tuppa with that masala. And now for some ghee roast within the scoop of this tellau, of this neer dosai. I can certainly taste the edge of the tamarind pulp in that ghee roast masala. You know, whatever the ingredients that have gone into it, this is a ghee roast masala that's quite balanced in its flavors. When you're tasting a ghee roast, the first thing you want to taste is tuppa. And that's something that you're tasting from the first bite till the end. There is a spice, but the spicing is gentle. There is a huli,
but it's a sort of huli that's quite restrained. And then there is depth of flavor from the other ingredients that may have found their way into that ghee roast masala. So if you watch the channel, you also know that during the lockdown, the last lockdown, we did a recipe at home on the ghee roast where we put a bunch of spices with the coriander, the chilies and the other ingredients that make this ghee roast interesting. Now when it comes to a ghee roast, I think every establishment that does a good ghee roast has its own technique, has its own ingredients, the ratio of ingredients, the manner in which the spices are roasted, the manner in which it comes together, and the manner in which the tuppa is blended into that masala, and finally that chicken is braised in that masala for a fairly long time. A ghee roast, a good ghee roast isn't a jhatka dish. A good ghee roast isn't chicken that's been parked aside and then introduced at the last minute to that masala. No, that doesn't really make a ghee roast. A good ghee roast is one where the chicken is allowed that opportunity to indulge in a flavorful collaboration with the masala and the tuppa as that chicken is braised in a pan for 30-45 minutes or whatever it takes to ensure that all that masala, that all the flavors seep deep into that bird. There's some places where the chicken ghee roast is slightly dryish. This ghee roast is one where there's plenty of the masala. This is a breast piece. I enjoyed the leg piece a lot more in that ghee roast masala. This piece is a bit tougher than the leg, but understandably so. I can now feel the warmth of that mensengai more assertively as I've tasted plenty of the ghee roast masala. Well, now to taste that dish that I watched being prepared from scratch, that Taru Bhutai Nippat. So nippat is basically a fried, crisp sort of a dish, but it's also the sort of dish that you nibble on. And I'm told the connotation of a nippat here, in the case of this bhutai, is a dish that works as a great nibble should you be indulging in something a little more spirited and refreshing. I'm told that's also the inspiration behind the nomenclature of this bhutai nippat. It's beginning to get a little warm. Warm, I think, not because of the weather, but because of the ghee roast masala with all that tuppa and also some of the warmth of that Kashmiri mensenkai. Some of that masala first. Oh, there's a certain pungent ferocity to that masala. You're tasting some of the flavors of the bhutai, and that is what you should expect to taste when you're tasting bhutai, but not in that overly fishy sort of sense. You're tasting the character of the bhutai, but also a hint of tartness somewhere that comes from the huli. There's a bit of the edge of the hingu, the asafoetida. I think that also serves to tone down some of the fishy character of the sardine, and then the warmth of the mensengai. Oh, this is delicious. I think this is also a fish that you can eat flesh, bone and all. And also somewhere in there you have the nuttiness of the sasve, the ogarne that goes right at the beginning. Oh, that's delicious. So you can either eat the fish with the bone or gently peel away the bone and focus only on its flesh. If you have something cold and refreshing on the side to go along with that bhutai, well, that would be quite something. I think the bhutai or the sardine also has a certain weight to its flesh. And it's a sort of weight and flavor character that lends itself to carrying a bold masala like this one here. This masala has a red chili paste that I'm definitely tasting. It has a tamarind pulp. It has the punch of hingu, some of the nuttiness of the mustard seeds in there, and all that the bhutai manages to imbibe beautifully onto its personality. I think this is probably the most exciting sardine dish that I've tasted. I think all that you need with this is some anna. You have enough masala here, but if you want it to have a little more moistness, perhaps some dali tove, because after all this is a GSB recipe, Mrs. Komal's recipe, to seal the deal for you. Oh, this is delicious. I came here seeking the ghee roast, but that nippat, the sardine nippat, the taru bhutai nippat, has proved to be quite a revelation. And it's also the sort of fish, it allows you to quite literally peel away the flesh from the bone rather effortlessly at that. What I like about Mrs. Komal's recipes is that there's plenty of masala. The gashi that has now also soaked up all the flavors of the bhutai. I'm eating rather clumsily, but every once in a while you meet a dish that compels you to lose all inhibition. Like this taru bhutai, I love it. The ghee roast you will find plenty elsewhere, but this taru bhutai nippat you will only find at Maharaja, courtesy Mrs. Komal's home recipe that has found its way to the restaurant. I can also now taste the spicy punch of that Ramnad Mensenkai. This dish is an explosion of flavors, whether it's a spice from the chilies or the punch of the hingu or also the nuttiness of the mustard seeds or the saswe, laced with the tartness, the sourness of the puli or the tamarind. When you have a fish that's quite assertive in its flavors, you need to use ingredients that are equally punchy. And I think that hingu does just that. The chili too has absorbed some of that masala. I can taste, of course, the heat of the chili, seeds there, chili seeds there, but also the tartness of the tamarind somewhere in there. You want to mop up all the remnants of the gashi. But ಈಗ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಸ್ಪೈಸ್ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. And I think I ate that ರಾಮನಾಡ್ ಮಿರ್ಚಿ. ಚಿಕ್ಕದಿತ್ತು, ಚಿಕ್ಕ ಪುಟ್ಟ ಇತ್ತು ಪ್ಲೇಟ್ನಲ್ಲಿ. I said, ತಿನ್ನುವನ, let's eat it. You know, I thought that chili was looking lonely on that plate, but that tiny mensenkai is packed a sucker punch. They saw me struggle with the heat, so they said, Goli soda taste madi. And I think that's not a bad idea at all. Some lime and ginger, the warmth of ginger that does beautifully well to cut through that wicked Ramnad Mensenkai spice.
I wanted to taste something very dear to the GSP people, that is dali tove, prawn singauda and kori roti, which is so touching to the soul but very simple to eat. I wanted to try that.
All right, when you say it with that much love, I can't refuse. Although my original plan was to only have these two dishes and revel in it, which is what I've done. But I think a hinga uta and a dali tove
Dali tove.
with some rice. Is it or kori roti?
Kori roti or rice, anything with kori.
What would you recommend?
I would recommend kori roti.
Okay, we'll have it with the kori roti. Always, never argue with the chef.
Our dinner is or lunch is not complete without this dal.
And this is the what lentil?
The tuar dal.
The tur dal, the togri
Only
bele.
togri bele.
Only togri bele.
Yes.
With a nice seasoning of curry leaves,
Curry
saswe.
leaves. Again, the hing is good
Again, hing is there.
Yes.
So hing is an integral part
of the GSP.
of GSB cuisine. And why is that, madam?
That is because of the humidity around, the gas is produced.
Ah.
So to subside the gas, we always
Correct,
use
that's right. So when there's lentils, of course, you use a lot of hingu.
Exactly.
But what was interesting, even that hingu in that bhutai, and I think what that hingu does there is also cuts to a certain extent that fishy fervor
Exactly.
of the sardine, right?
Generally, even in our houses, when we have this smelly fishes, we soak the fish in the
Ah, okay. I think those are the sort of touches that only a homemaker will bring to the space. Fantastic.
chicken curry with roti.
Ah,
That is why it is called kori roti.
kori roti. But of course, here we are going to eat the kori roti with the prawns hinga udda.
Hinga udda is a simple blend of masala, chilies and tamarind.
Okay.
Which you would never agree.
I think the only ingredient that she will give away is the chilies and tamarind. That I can tell you.
No sir. With ground coconut, ground chilies, little bit of tamarind, we grind it into a very fine paste.
Okay.
The way of grinding it is very, very important.
Very important. ಅದು ರುಬ್ಬುದು ಬಹಳ important.
Very important. How finer you grind it,
Okay.
that better the gravy becomes.
That better the gravy comes. Fantastic. Well, I've allowed that kori roti or the roti to soak up that hinga udda gravy for a few minutes whilst we were taking some of the shots. So you probably won't have that crisp crackle that you would typically associate with the roti. This has softened a wee bit. What's most apparent is the flavor of the coconut oil. And as I learned from Mrs. Komal Prabhu, that coconut oil is laced over the preparation just before it finishes cooking. You know what's interesting about the hingu is that it is assertive in its character, but also serves to come well together in a manner that complements the other ingredients. For instance, in this case, I'm tasting that slight punch that probably comes from the asafoetida, but you're tasting it in a balanced sort of manner with perhaps the roasted spices that go into that masala, that touch of tartness that comes from Mrs. Prabhu's favorite ingredient, the tamarind, and then the flavor of that coconut oil that drifts through your palate. I think I want to introduce a little more crunch to my roti platter here. I want to bite into some of that crunch of that roti. You know, you want your roti to be drenched to an extent where it has soaked up that curry, but still retains a touch of that crisp kori roti texture. The prawns are fresh, have a tinge of sweetness, as good sea prawns should, and are cooked just right. And now to complete the meal, perhaps a bit of the dali tove to end things on a rather calming note. That flavor of that ogarne, very punchy. Delicious. So what started as a 2-dish tasting here at Maharaja has ended up on a slightly more corpulent note, where we've tasted not just that chicken ghee roast and that very special taru butai nippat, but we've also tasted a delicious prawn hinga udda and a very calming dali tove to round off our meal. So although Maharaja restaurant is a multi-cuisine restaurant and you will find all sorts of cuisines here, but I think at the heart of it, it has a GSB soul, a Gaud Saraswat Brahmin soul, thanks to Mrs. Komal Prabhu and her passion for introducing dishes that are close to her culinary legacy. I think that taru butai nippat and that hinga uda prawn and also that dali tove is certainly an example of that. So if you find yourself in Nammakudla, Mangaluru, definitely make it a point to visit Maharaja and taste all that I have eaten plus some more. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Gourmet on the Road. Until the next time, take care, stay safe and happy eating. If you'd like to support the work that we do at Food Lovers TV, do consider joining our membership community on YouTube by hitting the join button below or on the home page. You could pledge a nominal sum and receive special privileges like behind the scenes footage,
shoot updates, access to live Q&As and a lot more. You could support us on our Patreon page as well. For more info, check out the links in the description below. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe, like, share and leave a comment below. Happy eating!